so many vegans and plant-based dieters think that just eating plants is going to cut it. I cannot tell you how many Instagram DMs I get every single day along the lines of, Rye, I've gone plant-based, I'm eating whole foods plant-based, but the weight's not budging, what's going on? I understand the sentiment there, because lots of people do just lose weight adding more plant foods into their diet. But my initial response is, okay, which plants are you actually eating then, and how much? Because whilst that definition plant-based, or even more specifically whole foods plant-based, it's a pretty niche definition. Like, I've got a rough idea of what you mean. I can guess from experience what you mean. But I do think lots of people need more of a system that takes into account which plant foods are the most effective for weight loss, rather than just sort of generally eating lots of plants. I think that's a bit of a vague approach. And so this is exactly why I have my Slim and Sustain clients, my coaching program clients, follow the plant foods periodization method, which is basically a system and a structure that actually is very selective about which plant foods are included because of their effectiveness for weight loss. And as the program goes on, it includes more of these and less of those that aren't. So yeah, it's a whole foods plant-based program, but even under the whole foods plant-based umbrella, there are still some foods that, objectively speaking, much better, significantly better than others in terms of weight loss. And this is what the periodization method does. It introduces more of those as you go progressively. So that's what you need. You need some kind of system, regardless of whether you're a client of mine or not. You need some kind of system that is a lot more selective about which plant foods you're eating, because not all of them are the same. And it's important to mention that. Not all plant foods, as the cliche goes, are created equal. So you need to be a lot more fussy, is the bottom line. You need to be a lot more selective about which plants you're eating. My advice, jump on Google right now, here's the actionable step, and just type in plant-based calorie chart or plant-based calorie density pyramid. And this, for lots of you, not all of you, some of you are well versed on this already, but for lots of you, that's going to be really illuminating. There's a lot of you right now who do not actually twig, and this is nothing against you, you do not actually twig how differently some of the plant foods, whether it's nuts, seeds, whether it's the whole grain category, whether it's different types of whole grains, whether it's fruits and veggies or different types of fruits and veggies, the difference between dates and peaches, for example. Some of you don't realize how much those things differ in terms of calories, number one, fat content, fiber. You need to be a lot more picky if you're not losing weight right now and really looking to break through, I would suggest. Number two, high fat intake, nuts, seeds, avocados, coconut, olives, etc. Again, some of these things to various degrees, I would say coconut is sometimes an exception because it's high in saturated fat, but some of these things can be, again, part of a healthy and weight loss encouraging diet. A lot of people, a lot of vegans and plant-based dieters going crazy with things like nut butter. The calorie density of some of these fat-rich plant foods, not to mention heavily processed ones like nut butters, they are astronomical. They will shock you if you read the back of a packet. If you look at the calories in a bag of cashew nuts, or just 30 grams, 100 grams of cashew nuts, your mind will be blown if you're not used to looking at nutritional labels, folks. It's really quite surprising. So yeah, a lot of these foods have good vitamins and minerals in them, so quote unquote we can objectively call them health foods, but they could be really slowing down the scale. One, because of the high calorie density, and two, because fat is the least slimming macronutrient in my assessment, okay, behind carbohydrates and protein. The way that fat is processed in the body differs massively from the aforementioned, especially carbohydrates, which surprisingly are very advantageous from a weight loss perspective. So it's not that you need to eliminate these fat-rich plant foods altogether, just be very mindful of them, I would say. Not looking at everything through a nutrition lens all the time. This is what so many, I think dieters are conditioned to do, because they are so led to believe that it's a diet or it's an exercise program that is the answer to all their problems. Now, you can have, as I've said many times, you can have the world's best weight loss program, right? But if your mind isn't right for success, you're not going to have consistency, you're not going to have conviction, you're going to self-sabotage, there's going to be reservations, and they're going to manifest, they're going to come out. If you're not truly committed to this, something's going to go amiss at some stage. So the mind has to be right, even if you've got a great exercise plan, even if you've got a great nutrition plan. For me, it was breaking away from just thinking about, you know, the surface level of weight loss all the time. This is what allowed me to keep weight loss going over the long term. You can lose a couple of pounds here and there, can't you? Tweaking your diet, doing a bit of exercise, but until you start really addressing the mental and emotional barriers you have to weight loss, you're only going to get so far. For me, the big thing, as many of you know, as many of you longer term subscribers know, was boredom eating. Back in my student days, I didn't have so much on my plate that back then. lacking in responsibility. I was very lazy compared to what I am nowadays, that's for sure, in myself. Not terribly so, but a lot lazier, let's say. And for me, I just turned to food for something to do. And really, I wasn't even that conscious or mindful of it at the time. It's only with hindsight that I can say, wow, this was a real problem for me. And so I actually fixed that mentally, right? I didn't just go plant-based and think that it was some miracle cure that would, solve all of my problems. It solved a lot of my problems when it came to weight loss. But I also thought, right, I've got to do something about this boredom eating stuff, okay? I've got to get my mind right for this. And it's really when I stopped looking at everything through that sort of typical diet lens that my results went to the next level. Because I could go deeper, I could go below the iceberg and tackle the other things that allow us to execute on the nutrition, on the exercise. Does that make sense? So this is why I always talk about this sort of holy trinity of weight loss, which is nutrition, of course, obviously, exercise, but also the mind. Very key. As always, for more resources, head over to naturalweightlossmastery.com. See you soon.